outside now.
I'm not fighting you. It'd be like fighting an accountant. I'll call you when I need my taxes done. You don't want to fight me, Tristan. Why not? Because I'll kill you, idiots.
We are talking season 1, episode 9, Rory's Dance. And let me tell you, this episode was crazy with the drama. The big plot of this episode was Rory goes to her first ever dance at Chilton, and she invites Dean, and they end up stopping at Miss Patty's before they go home the night of the dance, and they fall asleep, and so they spend the night together. Ooh, y'all. This episode, like, I remembered parts of it as I was rewatching it. I was like, oh my goodness. But there was just so much with this episode. Like, you see the drama between Tristan and Dean at the dance, because you finally see, like, Tristan's jealous. Like, he's just watching Dean and Rory, like, the whole time they're dancing. Tristan is, like, ready to fight Dean, and Dean's like, no, we are not allowed to fight. And so you have, like, them getting into it, and then they leave the dance, and Rory works up the courage to actually ask Dean to the dance, which I love how Lane is, like, supporting her, like, yeah, do it, because my mom took away my TV, and I need something to watch before I go home. But she asks him to go, but just their whole exchanges are kind of, like, awkward, too, because Rory doesn't really want to ask him, and he, like, keeps on asking her these questions, and she's not really giving the right answer until he, like, keeps on asking her. Like, for instance, she brings up the dance. He's like, okay, and what would I have to wear? She's like, oh, you can wear whatever you want. He's like, Rory, what would I have to wear? Oh, maybe like nice clothes. Rory, what would I have to wear? Maybe like a suit. And Rory, what would I have to wear? Okay, suit and tie. Like, it takes a lot to get answers out of Rory. And so that was kind of like pretty much everything, like getting her, asking him to the dance. He had to ask her all these questions about it. But then the big thing too that I really liked about this episode is how Lorelai has back issues, so she can't really move. So she's kind of like confined to her sofa. And so when Lorelai's mom finds out about it the night of the dance, she stays with her and she's like, you can't even move. Like, I'll stay with you and help you out. And so they get to bond because they haven't really spent that much time together pretty much since Lorelai was a kid. And so just seeing them come together and actually bond. And at first Lorelai's annoyed that Emily is staying and helping her. But then as the night goes on, they become closer and their relationship just kind of improves. I feel like in this episode too, you saw that Emily just wants to feel needed is her big thing. And so there's like a moment where she's taking care of Lorelai and Lorelai needs her to do something and her face just like brightens up. Like you just sense that she just needs to feel needed, to feel like a mother again. And Lorelai like gives her that moment, gives it back. I think it's so precious when Emily makes Lorelai a snack she used to make for her when she was sick. Like it's a mashed banana on toast. And so Lorelai's like, I used to eat this. And so then they both try it and they're like, okay, this is nasty. But it's just kind of cool, the memories coming back and just the fact that you kind of get to see glimpses of how good their relationship could be. And then the drama comes when Rory and Dean fall asleep at Miss Patty's because they were reading from a book and they just end up falling asleep on a beanbag. And it just so happens that when this happened, Emily was in the house with Lorelai, and so she's actually the one that wakes up and she's like, hey, it's 5 a.m. Rory's not home. And Lorelai's like, what? What do you mean Rory's not home? So she's like disoriented because her mom's waking her up and telling her this. And they get into it because Emily's like, I don't want Rory to become like you, like you're doing terrible. So they get into it. And so then Lorelai is like going off, and Emily, she's like, you're not being helpful right now. This is not what I need to hear. I'm trying to focus on my daughter. And she keeps on bringing up how her daughter is smart and not like her. And that's kind of like the fear that her parents have, because they keep on throwing in Lorelai's face that she lost all her potential. The life she was supposed to have is not what she has. And Lorelai's like, look at the life I've made for myself. Like, I'm proud of where I am. Like, it may not be where you wanted me to be, but I'm happy with where I am. So then Lorelai kicks Emily out of her house. She's like, if you're not going to support, or if you're just going to be negative or like throw this, like, you can get out of my house, essentially. Like, oh. And then Rory comes in, and Rory rubbed me the wrong way with how she handled like coming in late. Like, she comes in and she actually overhears Emily and Lorelai arguing. And so once Emily leaves, Rory comes in. She's like, oh, thank you for standing up for me and everything. And then Lorelai goes off on her because she's like, do you know how scared I was that you stayed out all night? And the thing Rory does, she's like, we fell asleep. Like, she doesn't even really apologize. She kind of irked me in how she handled that. And I understand she's like a teenager. She's learning how to handle stuff. But the way she did it, I was not here for it. And so basically she goes off and Rory's like, she tells Lorelai, you're just mad just because your mom was here when this happened. And that's like her big thing. And Lorelai's like, no, I was concerned. Like, I didn't know where you were. Which, I mean, it also had a big thing that her mom was there and saw this happen. Like, I don't think the argument would have been as bad if Emily was not there to witness it, because that kind of made it worse, I think. Another thing about episode 9 is how the episode ended with the fighting between the 3 generations of Lorelai women. And it's kind of like poetic in a sense, because you have Lorelai and her mom arguing, then you have Lorelai and her daughter arguing, and it's just everything gets brought to the surface. You get your bitterness, you get your resentment, but then you just get Lorelai's disappointment because she expects Rory to be so much better than she was as a kid. So to have something like this happen, like, you just see the disappointment coming, and whew, there was a lot to unpack in this episode. But yeah, so this episode full of the drama, but yeah, it was kind of wild. I was kind of here for the drama this episode.
This has been another episode of Real Talk.
with Noel.